Mi rutina diaria, my daily routine. What is a reflexive verb? Reflexive verbs are used to talk about actions someone does to oneself. Here are examples of reflexive verbs. Peinarse, to comb one's hair. Desayunarse, to have breakfast. Ponerse, to put on. Secarse, to dry off. Maquillarse, to put on makeup. Quitarse, to take off. Llamarse, to call oneself. Quedarse, to stay. Mirarse, to look at oneself. Estirarse, to stretch. Here are the reflexive pronouns. Please note that the subject pronoun yo, tú, usted, él, ella, nosotros, vosotros, ustedes, ellos, and ellas may be used alongside the reflexive pronouns, but the reflexive pronouns must accompany the verb to express reflexive actions. The reflexive pronouns are me, te, se, nos, os, and se. We simply say me, te, se, nos, os, se. Me, te, se, nos, os, se. Please repeat and memorize the reflexive pronouns. What are the present tense endings? The present tense endings are AR verbs will take on o, as, a, amos, and. ER verb will take on o, es, amos, en, and the IR verbs would take on o, es, imos, and en. We will be using the present tense conjugation of verbs in this lesson today to teach daily routine. How do I conjugate a reflexive verb? First, make sure it is reflexive. You know a verb is reflexive by its ending. It usually ends in se, se. Secondly, find out if it is an AR, ER, or IR verb and conjugate as you would conjugate a regular verb. For example, let's try peinarse, to comb one's hair. I hope you were paying attention to the table preceding this table with the present tense ending. Peinarse is an AR verb, an AR reflexive verb. Therefore, it would take the present tense AR endings o, as, a, amos, and an. The present tense conjugation of peinarse is as follows. Me peino, I comb my hair. Te peinas, you comb your hair. Se peina, he or she combs his or her hair. Nos peinamos, we comb our hair. Se peinan, they comb their hair. Or you, in general, comb your hair. Now let's conjugate our second verb, vestirse. Vestirse is an IR verb because it ends in IR, even though se is on it. Se tells us that vestirse is a reflexive verb. Me visto, I get dressed. Te vistes, you get dressed. Se viste, he or she gets dressed. Nos vestimos, we get dressed. Os vestís, you get dressed. Se visten, they get dressed, or you in general get dressed. Please note that vestirse is a stem changing verb, hence it changes E to I in the stem. Now look back on the conjugation of peinarse and vestirse. Then try to conjugate ponerse in your notebook. Remember, ponerse is an ER verb. Use the present tense ER endings and the reflexive pronouns. The reflexive verbs versus the present indicative. When you use reflexive verbs, the subject does the action and also receives it. Example of a reflexive action. I brush my teeth. This means I brush my teeth myself. It is an action that I am doing to myself. While the indicative statement would be, if the sentence is I brush my dog, it is not a reflexive action because I am not receiving the action. The dog is receiving it. I brush my dog. I am doing it to the dog. Did you know los quehaceres mean chores in Spanish? Using chores to talk about daily routine. Quehaceres. Lavar los platos, to wash the dishes. Barrer el suelo, to sweep the floor. Sacar la basura, to take out the rubbish or garbage. Pasar la aspiradora, to vacuum. Cortar el césped, to cut the grass. Limpiar el baño, to wash the bath. Repaso, review. Reflexive verbs are verbs that show action done to oneself. Two parts are attached to the reflexive verb. The verb itself, it may end in AR, ER, or IR, and also the reflexive pronoun se. The reflexive pronouns are me, te, se, nos, os, and se. Pronouns agree with the subject of the verb. First, before conjugating a verb, identify which type of verb it is, if it is an AR, ER, or IR verb, and then use the tense endings based on which tense you would like to use. In this case, we are using the present tense. An AR verb here would take the following endings: o, as, a, amos, ais, and an. Example, lavarse. Me lavo, I wash, as in myself. Te lavas, you wash yourself. Se lava, he, she, it, you washes yourself, himself, itself, or herself. Nos lavamos, we wash ourselves. Os laváis, you, as in plural of two, wash yourselves. Se lavan, they or you wash themselves or yourselves. Yo lavo el carro is an exception. I wash the car, that's the indicative. Pero, but, yo me lavo las manos, I wash my hands. A sentence using the reflexive form of lavarse. Me lavo, I wash.